Okay, so what we're going to do is talk about the quiz. We're getting better, but we're not quite where we want to be. And then we'll go through today's lesson sheet, okay? Ready to rock? Okay. So, the first quiz question talks about points here, 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 here. There's my line. In general, do I have everybody looking here? In general, what kind of slope is this one? Positive, good. What kind of slope is this one? Negative. What kind of slope is it right in between? Zero. Just like zero is neutral between positive and negative numbers, a perfectly horizontal line has a slope of zero. I mentioned this only briefly yesterday, I think, and I can't even remember if it was this class or the other class, but I gave you credit for it on today's quiz. You're expected to know it from this point forward. Any line that's perfectly vertical has no slope. Okay? So if you notice the fourth one, the line is perfectly vertical, so that would be a no slope situation. Yes. Okay. So I'm going from here to here. Now, please look at your answers. There are a number of you who had a positive slope for the first one. How could that be a positive slope when we just said any angle? We always read slopes left to right. Anything that goes down is negative. Yet, there were probably 4 or 5 of you who put a positive slope. No, it should be a negative slope. Do we all agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm going down 2 over 1. Down 2 over 1. So the answer is negative 2 over 1. You could have said just negative 2. That would be fine also. All right, so now we get to the next question. And the points for this one are here, here, here. And we're asked to find the slope of this line. Now, first off, is this line going up or is it going down? Up. So it's what kind of slope? Positive. Now I just need to count spaces. I'm going up 1 over 3. I could also look at it, oh, I'm sorry, this should go over here. I could also look at it as up 2 over 6. But whether you write 2 over 6 or 1 over 3, it's the same exact slope. So 1/3 is that slope. The next problem. Is right here. Perfectly horizontal line. What is the slope of a perfectly horizontal line? 0. You can look at it as I go up 0 over 1, up 0 over 1, or 2, or whatever, it's 0 over 1, which is a slope of 0. And I just want to emphasize, God bless, because you will see this tomorrow. God bless. Go ahead.
On the second one, I put 1 3 first, but then I thought it was wrong. Like 3 so I just got confused on how you.
Yeah, I thank you for bringing that up. Listen, a couple of people on their answers to parts A and B had reciprocals. Remember what a reciprocal is? It's when you flip the fraction, right? Bless you. Now, you have to, when you do a slope, it's the change in y over the change in x. The y is this guy. The y is up and down. So you have to count up first. Some people count over first. And I got to admit, it's more natural to count over first because we normally do x's before y's, but not with slope. So you have to make sure you count the up or down first. Up 1 over 3. Okay. Now, over here, I didn't grade this fourth one. I think one person actually had it right. But this is a no slope situation. Okay? The reason it's no slope is I would be going, say, up 3 over 0. And when we express over 0, you can't divide by 0. So we call this a no slope situation. Okay? You don't want to put 3 over 0. You just want to write no slope. All right. Tomorrow you will be expected to write no slope. All right, so now we get on to the equation, and the good news is that as a whole, we looked better on the equation today than we've ever looked before. Now, a lot of people put +2, the answer was -2. All right, but what I saw kids who usually just try to guess and check numbers. I saw them trying to do algebra. Kevin, you with me here, bud? Right? Make sure everybody's looking here. Don't look down at your papers. Don't go doing anything else. Look here, because now you want to take it one step further. Kevin, you did a great job trying to do this algebraically, but you made some mistakes, which is to be expected. So now what you want to do is figure out one thing you did wrong, and on tomorrow's quiz, do it right. Maybe even 2 things. And if you can do that over the next few days, you'll have them right within a week or so. Yes?
I don't know if I got the answer wrong.
You got the answer wrong, but you did get half credit because about half of your work was right. Okay, which is a really good step in the right direction. Now, first off, what I really liked is that every person in the room recognized the number outside the parentheses, and we have to distribute. So what is 3 times 3x? 9x. And I think, if I remember right, I think every person or virtually every person wrote 9x there. So that's a really good start. Now we had, for some of you, and not too many, but for some of you, we had a hiccup here. Maybe Uni, maybe Kevin, maybe Marco, maybe Alan. I don't remember who it was. Well, before you say if it wasn't you, check out what it was.
Wait, I think check it out.
Ready? You have to do 3 times, what kind of 5 is this? Negative. What's 3 times -5? -15. Look at your paper and see right now, guys, look at your quiz. Did you have written down 9x minus 15? Because I would say about 3 or 4 or 5 of you guys wrote 9x minus 5. You have to remember, when you distribute, the word to distribute means to give out. You imagine, Kevin, what's your favorite restaurant? Outback. All right, so you go to the Outback. What's your favorite meal that the Outback offers? Bacon cheeseburger. So the waitress, she takes your order. She takes your whole family's order. How many people in your family? 10 people. This is a honkin' big. Wow. Good, let's go with 10. I like 10. 10's good for example purposes. So here comes the waitress. She takes all 10 orders. Imagine that you're Kevin here. You're at a dinner with 10 people at the restaurant. You get the whole thing done. Waitress takes all 10 orders. Then they come out, Kevin, and they, here's the word, distribute dinners to everybody except you. How are you gonna feel?
I'm gonna let.
You're gonna be like, yo, what the heck? And you know what's gonna happen. You're gonna watch everybody else eating, and your mouth is gonna water. And you're gonna be like, where's my... When you distribute, you have to give it to everybody. Otherwise, it's just not right. Agreed? Well, look, I think on your paper, I think you wrote 9x, but then I think you wrote 5. It's got to go, the 3 has to go to the 3x and the 5, so 3 times -5 is -15. That's the next step you have to take. So the next time you're doing math, I want you to think about the Outback. And I want you to think about what it's like to get your dinner at Outback and you don't get your bacon double cheeseburger, and how wrong that is. All right. Plus 2x plus 2 is equal to, -35. Now, is this a same side situation or an opposite side situation? Same side. So I love virtually every person, as I looked around on the papers, 9x and 2x, 11x. Mr. Clark, you are paying attention to this, right? Because this is one of those areas where you're struggling a little bit. You got all the brain power in the world. You just got to decide you want to use it. Now, the 11x we looked good at, but you know what we didn't look so good at? We weren't bad, but we could have been better. Not only can you combine the x's, you can also combine these numbers first. What's a -15 and a +2? -13. Now, let me just pause for a second, because some people did this. Some people did -2 -2, then +15 +15, and that's allowed. It's not wrong. It's just an extra step. It would have been a little easier to just combine in the beginning. Equals -35, add 13, add 13. Now here's the big mistake that more people made than any other mistake in the whole problem. You ready? Die. 11x equals, what is 35 negatives and 13 positives?
Um,
22, negative
Yeah, negative 22. For some reason, it was like your pens were possessed. Have you seen that Annabelle movie?
yeah, no.
Right? Now, I haven't seen it, but I guess it's about like some possessed little girl in a house or something like that. And it's like a doll that's possessed. And are we talking about Cortese here or what? And so you turn around and go like this. It's like they go, ah! And you go to put the negative, and you can't put the negative sign in. Guys, you gotta keep the sign in a bigger number. Negative, divide by 11, x equals negative 2. And that's the correct answer. Yes?
subtract 13, so, and
Yeah, and clearly this should be negative 13, agree? Did you put positive? Yeah, that's your mistake.
I think it's
Yeah.
more positive too.
Yeah. Okay, so there's the quiz, and that's all the types of things you went wrong. Now, here's the question I have for you guys. And you know what, I even know the answer, so this is kind of a rhetorical question. I know you well enough to know that there are those in this class who go home and look this stuff over before the next quiz. And there are those who do not. And I can tell because I see how the quiz grades progress and improve. If you're one of these people, Angelina, who goes home and doesn't redo the quiz and doesn't watch the videos. By the way, I noticed yesterday, I just took a peek, 764 hits on the videos. So that means, that applause is for you, not me. That means that 764 times, kids in my 4 classes have sat down and said, I need to watch these videos to get better. And that's a really cool thing. My point to you is this. Do you think anything I did on that quiz was that unbelievably hard that you can't figure it out?
No.
No. You just need to work at it. If I go over the quiz now, and then you go home and you don't look at the quiz again until tomorrow, you will get a little bit better. But will you be perfect? Probably not. But if you go home, like Alan's a great example. He obviously worked between yesterday and today because he had the best looking equation that he's ever had on a hard, complicated equation. If you go home tonight and you do it again, I'll bet you learn a little bit more. And I'm not saying you'll be perfect tomorrow, but you'll probably maybe only lose 5 points instead of 10 points, and now we're up to a 95. And if you do that on a consistent daily basis, the grades will follow. You'll be getting hundreds before you know it. All right, so here's a question that we talked about yesterday, and we said what an important question this was. And we said that with this particular kind of question, the rate of change, another word for rate of change is slope. What's another word for rate of change? Slope. Stephen, Kevin, you with me here? Right, rate of change is slope. The rate of change throughout this line from A to C is constant. It's the same all the way through. And we talked yesterday about why that needed to be. So this guy here at F, it says x comma 10. I can't really find the slope there because there's an x. But what I can do is I can find the slope from A all the way up to C. Remembering that slope is the change in the y's over the change in the x's. And we're actually going to do a little bit of work with slope formula a little later. If I go from 2, here's the 2, all the way up to 12, how much has the y increased? 10. And if the x goes from 0 to 15, how much has the x increased? 15. Can you reduce 10/15? Right? Sometimes it pays to reduce a slope. This is one of those times. What is 10/15 reduced? 2 over 3. Good. I had to divide by 5, right, to get it to 2/3. So that means every time I go up 2, I go over 3. So let's do that. Ready? Let's go up 2 over 3. So if I go up 2, this guy gets to 5. And if I go up 2 and then I go over 3, 0 goes to 3. Okay? Now I'm going to go up 2 over 3 again. I'm going to go up 2 over 3. So if I go up 2, I go to 7. And if I go over 3, I come out to 6. Agree? Okay, let's do it again. I'm going to go up 2 more over 3. And since I went over 3, that's 9. And up 2 more would be 9. Oh boy. This is an ugly one. Because if I do it again, If I go up 2 and over 3, I end up with the point 11, and then if I go over 3, I end up at 12. Now, isn't it true that x comma 10 will be between 9 comma 9 and 12 comma 11? Right? Isn't that right smack in between? Okay, so what's right smack in the middle between 9 and 12? That's not right smack in the middle. 9, 10, 11, 12. What's right in the middle between 9 and 12? 10 and a half, right? Or look at it this way. Add them up. 9 plus 12 divided by 2 is 21 over 2, which is 10.5. So, it's got to be 10.5, comma 10. So the value of x is 10 and a half. Kind of a little weird because it came out to a half. Doesn't usually do that, but it does this time. Yes, Josh?
When you go up from 2 over 3, I don't know how you get
Well, if you go up 2 over 3, just keep adding 2's here. Oh, wait, look, I made a boo-boo. I made a boo-boo. Uh-oh. I did a boo-boo. My bad. Yo, muy malo. No, yo, ditto movie, muy malo. Ready? Here we go, let's go up 2 over 3 again. Up 2 over 3, that comes out to 3 comma 4, not 3 comma 5. Up 2 over 3. So if I go up 2, I come out to 6, over 3 is 6. Up 2 over 3, that comes out to 9 comma 8. And then if I go up 2 more, I get to 10, that's good. And then over 3 more, so if I go over 3 more from 9, what do I get to? 12. So thank you, Chelsea. It should be 12 comma 10, not 10 and a half comma 10. Yes?
Where do you get the 3 from? As you go over 3.
Because the slope worked out to be, to go from 2 to 12 was 10, and to go from 0 to 15 was 15, and when I divided by 5, I got 2/3, so I gotta go up 2 over 3.
And when you go up 2 over 3, how do you know how
Hey, I can't hear. What?
I don't know how you get 6 then commas.
Well, because if you go up 2 over 3, these guys have to go up by 2's. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. These guys have to go up by 3's because you're going over 3. 0, 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay? All right, so now we get to the next level. And the last couple of days, we've been trying to find slopes by looking at them. Now what we're going to do is actually graph a line. Now, when it comes to graphing this line, there needs to be what you call a template. When I was a young boy, Alan,
Yes, sir.
you need to pay attention. Angelina, turn face forward. Now, when I was a young boy, my grandfather, he bought a 1955 Willys Jeep that I now own. And he bought it rotted out in the back of the schoolyard. It was an old Korean War Jeep. And let's say that it looked like this, okay? Here's the Jeep. You know, you got the window. Jeeps have an opening here. They don't have really car doors. You know what I mean? All right, and then we have a wheel here and a wheel here. But the thing about the Jeep is this. It was rusted out like crazy. There would be like a spot here, rust, and a spot here, and whole sections missing of the metal on the outside because they were all rusted out. So what my grandfather had me do was this. He had me take a piece of sheet metal, and I would put the piece of sheet metal on the inside, not the outside, on the inside, and then I would tap it with a hammer until I custom made it fit exactly like, so the sheet metal might be this big on the inside, and I would tap that until it filled the hole. Then my grandfather would take it out and he would get a piece of heavier metal, the same exact size, the same exact shape. He'd fill the hole with it and then he would weld it together. And then he would sand, well, he used an emery board kind of thing, that's kind of like a Dremel but bigger. And he would smooth it all out, and he did that for all of the holes, and that's how he filled in all the holes of the Jeep, and then he would paint over it. These things, these little holes and the tapping of the metal in, that's called a template. Another way to look at it is if you sew. If anybody here has ever sewn or watched your mom sew, kind of a lost art, but they give you these things called patterns. And you put the pattern on top of the material, and you cut the material exactly to the shape of the pattern. That's how all the clothes you wear are made. They cut it to the shape, and then they put it all together. Well, that's exactly what we do when it comes to this lesson. We want to write equations of lines. And our template, or our pattern, is this y equals mx plus b. Now, at first, that probably looks like Greek. Y equals mx plus b, what are you talking about? But we've already learned that m stands for slope, right? It stands for slope, it's how you move. B stands for the y-intercept. So m stands for slope, it's how you move. B stands for the y-intercept, and it's where it touches the y-axis, where the line touches the y-axis. The y, the equals, the x, and the plus are parts of the template. They never, ever, ever change. The only things that change are the m and the b. So what you need to do when you want to write the equation of a line is you need to figure out, hey, what is m? Oh! What is b? If you figure out those two things, you just plug them into the place they belong in. So, let's go through and handle it with these lines. It's really easy. That's the cool thing about today's lesson. So let's start with this line up top here. Here it is. Now, I want to know what is m and what is b. I always like to start with b because I think it's the easiest thing to do. It really is. There's no excuse. Every person in here should be able to find b anytime they want. B is where it touches what? The y-axis. B is called the y-intercept. Here's the graph. It touches there. Count with me. Let's figure it out. Everybody looking up? Kevin? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. B is 8. How hard was that?
Simple.
Very simple. Okay. Now let's do the slope. Now I just have to, just like I've been doing on my quizzes. First off, is this a positive or a negative slope? Negative. Here's my fraction. What's the fraction numbers?
Down.
Down 1 over 2. So the equation is y equals, now I'm going to put in the slope here, x plus, and I'm going to put the y-intercept there. Remember, the general equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. The y, the equals, the x, the plus, they're always there. They're never changing. Now you need to figure out what's m, what's b. But you did that. So here, I put negative a half, and here, I put 8. Yes?
Do you figure out what B is by counting from 1?
From 0.
From the 0.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So if you counted from another y-intercept, that would be 1?
Yes. You always start from 0, because you want to find out what its value is when it crosses the y-axis. Look, guys, I don't bother doing this all the time. This is something you should really know from 7th grade. But when you label the axis, I'm going to go 5 in each direction. I'll go 8 in this one, just so you can see 8. That's how an axis is supposed to be labeled. And I just find out where does it cross. It crosses at 8. This guy here, let's do this one next. Ready? Let's do this line right here. What is the y-intercept of my blue line? What's the y-intercept, everybody? 1 it is. Now, let's do the slope. What's the slope? Up 1 over 1. So now I just plug everything in. Y equals, now what was the slope again? 1 over 1, or just 1, same thing, x. And now what's the y-intercept? Positive 1, so I just put plus 1. And that's it. Y equals 1x plus 1. So all you need to do is look at the picture and find them and plot them. Now, let's take a look at the green line. What's that line's equation going to be? Okay, what's the y-intercept, everybody? Alan?
3. Negative 3.
No,
Negative
-2.
2.
Right, we touch right here, which is -2. And here's my slope. What's the slope work out to be? 1 over 1 again, right? Right, I'm going up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So it's y equals 1x, or just x. You don't even need to put a 1 in front, because if nothing's there, we understand it to be a 1. Minus 2. All right. Let's go to the last line, the black line. Okay, I have m equals, and I have b equals. Now, I always like to start with the b. So what is the y-intercept of this guy, everybody? -6, right? It touches right down there, right under 5, which is -6. And then what's the slope? I'm going from here to here to here. What's that slope? 1/3, right? So then my equation is y equals 1/3 x minus 6. Okay? So we're learning about slopes, y-intercepts, where they are. Let's go to a little further on in your sheet here. Now I can go backwards. I can graph based on the line. So, this is the last thing we'll do today. Ready? Take a look at this equation. What's the slope? Everybody, take a look. What's the slope? 1/2, right? What's the y-intercept? 2. So I begin, that's why I use a B for y-intercept. Hold it! I begin at 2. Watch, ready? Up 1/2, up 1/2, up 1/2, up 1/2. BAM! There it is. Y equals mx plus b. Hasta la vista. Vaya con Dios. Toodaloo. Ta-ta. Garusharus. Sayonara. See you later. Ta-ta. Toodaloo. Arrivederci. Smile a lot. How is it, Jayla?
Who, Pat?
Yeah, no, not Pat. The boyfriend.
Oh, I forgot that.
It's over? Wait, but I heard that it kind of goes over and starts again when you guys are bunch.
Look, first I started